This is not where I normally do things, but this year it is. So I just want to talk a little bit about what I do. So I think you guys can see me okay, but so I've been a personal trainer for about 8 years through ACE certification, which is American Council on Exercise. But before that, I was doing a tremendous amount in fitness. I was a jazzercise instructor for 25 years. And before that, a completely different thing. I worked in the brokerage industry. So fast forward to now and working on Zoom with my personal training with all my clients is a very different world, but we're making it happen. What I'd like to focus on today are two things. One is my target audience, and then I'd really like to get you guys moving if you'd like. So this is optional. But my target audience, I want to focus on three things, and that would be I cater to the senior population, and senior is kind of a misnomer in Marin County especially, but about 60 to beyond. But that really isn't what I'm held to because, for instance, I'm working with a 45-year-old mommy that has two littles, and we're working on kind of getting her trimming her down again and really building up her stamina to keep up with her two little kids. So certainly not a senior, and all the way up to about 86 years young right now. I do have a couple of older clients, but they're not real Zoom friendly. So I'm looking forward to seeing them again, maybe starting in April. So one is senior population I cater to. The other one is I'm mobile, not now, but I am a mobile trainer, which is what I use very much in my marketing and is hugely obviously convenient for people because I show up at their home. It also is an accountability tool. Obviously, if I'm there, it's harder to say it can't work out. So that's huge. And of course, that really caters to my audience, which are the senior population, right? So that's really helpful and a big plus for me in my business is trying to stand out from all the other personal trainers in Marin County. The third thing that I want to focus on more is my orthopedic specialty. And it is continue education credit heavy. So I need to update and do that quite a bit, which is good because it keeps me on kind of the cusp of getting all the new information. And what that is I can work with people with old injury, new injuries after surgery, after accidents, those kind of things. And that's what I really like to do. Of course, what usually happens is you go to a physical therapist for 6 to 8 weeks or visits or whatever happens to, be with your insurance. And then you're maxed out and you may be able to renew that or not, just really depends on your medical. That is a great time for me to pick up where the physical therapist stopped. So many people go home with a little binder, right, of exercises to do or a DVD, or it's even on YouTube now sometimes that people do. And they make this, their commitment to their physical therapist that they're going to go home and do all of this rehab that they need to continue on. Most likely, if you've done that 6 to 8 weeks, it's not really enough. You need to keep doing your exercises to continue the rehab. And if you've ever gone through this experience before, you're so good about it for those first 2 weeks. And then you just either start doing them really fast right before you go to bed, or you don't do them at all. They kind of get put in the drawer. So that's a perfect place for me where I can help people stay accountable with those exercises, number one. And number two, to do them properly, because the form is the most important thing when you're rehabbing. So that's really a great way for me to start off after the physical therapist has ended. But then the next step of that, of course, is building that strength around that injury, right? And balancing out the body. So I can actually take it to the next level so that you can start thriving again in your body that may have had an injury. So the next part I'd like to do is so there's no judgment here. If you want to sit and watch the whole thing, go for it. If you want to stay seated and do some of the movement, happy to do that as well. And I'll show you some things that can make that happen. But if you'd like to stand up and move, I'd encourage you to do so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically give you a little mini class, but do it really, really kind of quickly. And so what I do
5 minutes.
with all of my clients, thank you, is I say we go through isolations from the top of the head down to the ankles. And just follow along, and everything is nice and gentle and easy. Don't force anything to happen. But I usually ask my clients, hey, how you doing today? How's your body? That's my biggest question. How's your body today? Because with each client, I come in with programming, but depending on how they answer that question will change how we're going to work for the next 45 minutes. So I isolate from my head, neck area, right, to the shoulders. Should all feel really good, full range of motion of those shoulders up, back, and down. And then arms out to the side. So far, if you're seated, you can do all of this stuff. And what am I doing right now? I'm trying to keep my hips from moving or stationary and moving my rib cage up above my hips. And when you do that, you're waking up all of the trunk muscles. Yeah, the core musculature, the lat muscles, the oblique muscles. And you'll feel the spine kind of move a little bit, and it kind of just wakes up that spine. Remember, I start at 6:15 sometimes in the morning with people. And so you need to go slow and easy on these. This one, I'm pressing my chest and rib cage forward, and then I'm rounding it back. Okay, so pressing the chest front and back. And usually, so what I'm trying to find out is I'm trying to feel out that client that day, because it could be, oh, I've got a little stiff neck, and so then push-ups aren't the right way to go, right? And then you're gonna, so this will be different for those that are seated, but if you're with me standing, you're gonna bend your knees slightly and push off to the hips, so opening up the hip complex, it kind of feels nice. And if you're seated, I'm gonna angle this down just a little bit so you can see. If you're seated, you lift up nice and tall, and you might make the leg work out and in. So again, working the hip complex, and 5 and 5 on each side. And you're going to extend and bend for the knee part. So those of you who are standing with me, we might just do a little bend and stretch, right? We're greasing up the knees now. So remember, what we're doing is we're isolating all the joints from the head down to the toes. So bending the knees, greasing up the knees. And then all of us can do the feet together. And the feet, basically, I'll just leave it, but you're going to lift up through the ankle in the front, right and left. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm pulling my toe up and lifting my heel. And you're basically stretching the front of the foot, right? The majority of the time, we stay flexed in a flexed position. So lifting and opening up the front of that ankle feels really, really good. And then if you're standing, you're going to balance on one foot and circle that right ankle around. I usually do 10 and 10. We're just going to do a few today. And notice that you want to do just the ankle, not the whole leg. Okay. So if you're seated, you can do that really easily too. And switch to the other side. So ankle rotations, and you might have heard my ankle crack. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for all those little sticky spots. Okay, and then we might work into calf work. Yeah, calves lift and lower, things like that. But basically, what we're doing is working into that overall body workout. Okay, so the next 5 minutes of my time with my clients are
1 minute.
Great, major muscles, right? Big marches. And that's going to change for every person depending on their ability. If I'm seated, I could do big marches here, right? For those that are seated, I could do leg lifts to the side. But the option is now, for the next 45 minutes, each person gets something that's catered to them. Working the upper body, working the lower body, working on core stability, how to balance and tighten the abdominal muscles. You don't have to do a bunch of sit-ups for that. So open your chest, everybody, palms to the back diagonal, lift and stretch those chest muscles, round the back, give yourself a little break. Lift and open up the chest again. These are the muscles we got to focus on. Now, only if it's comfortable for you, bring the arms up overhead and then stretch side to side. That should feel so good.
Time's up.
All right, and all the possibilities of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.